Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto. The quarterfinals are finished, the semifinals are set, 4 players remain. 2 of them waiting backstage to do battle for you right now. How pumped are you for that? Nice. The first player is the reigning Intel Extreme Masters champion. He has 11 StarCraft 2 titles, more than anyone in the world. He has crushed every single person he's faced in this tournament. From Team Liquid, Taeja. And his opponent, a man who needs no introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. He is the man, the god, the ultimate weapon, and the boyfriend of all of your dreams. KT rostered Flash!
Thanks very much, Jarrett. And back to the couch we go once more, this time with Kalaris and Todd, and no Chewbacca's here, which is good news. What is that Sean on? What's he like?
I don't know. He likes dressing up. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, let's move swiftly on before we get into trouble on that one. Brilliant semi-finals, fantastic set of players, all 4 of them just, you know, world class in terms of StarCraft 2. Did you go to bed last night dreaming of these 4 being in the semi-finals?
Yeah, that was the exact dream I actually had. Thank you for reassuring me with that, Paul. I assume you did as well, and so did Todd.
Of course, Flash is the boyfriend of everybody's dream. So.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Fair play.
Confirmed, actually, by all the men in the audience just then. Brilliant. Great, we're off to a flyer here at the analysis couch area. They're going to get into the map vetoes momentarily, but let's talk about this matchup. Flash and Taeja. They've only met twice before. Flash has won both times, but neither of them were in best of 3 or best of 5 or best of 7. They were best of 1, which we all know is, well, it's a bit of a lottery sometimes. And we can't really pull too much information out of that. So instead, where do we get it from? Current form?
Yeah, I think so. It was a while back as well when they played last year. They didn't play this year at all. Taeja, somehow it seems he's struggling a little bit versus Stern. You know, he just lost 0-3 to Pulse in the Battlegrounds finals. And I asked him a little bit about it, and he said he hadn't been practicing much, if at all, versus Stern, just playing ladder mostly. And, you know, we all know about his wrist problem. So the thing is, he saw that match coming here. He had all night to think about it. So if he was able to come up with good ideas, which usually hits Taeja, he always has some, we could see a completely different Taeja than we saw in the Battlegrounds finals, who would then give a Flash a run for his money.
That said, though, James, TvT is his bane right now. He just doesn't like it. He doesn't feel comfortable. He doesn't like it. He doesn't feel the builds are right. He doesn't feel like he can actually get through other players, even if he feels he's better than them. So it's a mental thing as well as what's going on in the game for him.
And I think the thing for me with Taeja is whenever you watch Taeja, he always goes in, and whenever you see him playing, he always looks really confident. He always probably is very confident, saying, I can beat this guy, I can beat this guy, I can beat this guy. This series, to me, strikes me as one of those series where maybe Taeja isn't as confident as he normally is. I mean, I might just be speculating here, but this is Flash we're talking about.
Yeah,
Flash,
it's been in fantastic form as well, Flash.
I talked a little bit with him prior to the tournament as well, and I was asking him, I was trying to find out, because I didn't have too much info on him except for his recent games. I was asking him what's his worst and best matchup. According to him, his worst is TVP, and best is TvT over his TvZ, which kind of surprised me. I really thought his TvZ would be his best, so I guess we're going to find out how good he actually is in the matchup.
Yeah, they're fairly even over the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto as well. Flash 8-4 and Taeja 7-2. He's only dropped 2 maps. There's only one player that's done better than that so far in Toronto. Let's take a guess.
Life?
It is. 11-1 Life is throughout this tournament.
Not bad.
Not too bad.
Not bad.
Not too bad at all.
Play.
So he has the slight edge in terms of the form. He also came through a very Terran-heavy group as well, which he was super worried about. So having got out of that, does his chances perhaps go up? And in addition to what Todd said, he's had a night to think about this and figure out how he can play Flash. Does that give him some advantages now?
I don't think so.
I'm obviously grasping at straws here. That's exactly what I'm doing.
In the end, I really do think Flash has this, and I think Flash goes to the final. And that's saying that we always see Taeja turn up at these tournaments, and he always somehow manages to get to the final, regardless of what's going on. But in the end, Flash has looked so good. I can't put it. I think Flash is going to take this.
Okay, Todd.
I think Flash is going to win as well.
So it's a unanimous verdict yet again from the analysis desk, where both Todd and Kalaris are going with God. Let's find out whether the heavenly support continues on the caster's desk.
Thank you very much, guys, and welcome to the first semi-final here of the Intel Extreme Masters in Toronto, Canada. I hope you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready now.
I can see you are, and I'm sure you are very excited for this, of course, a Terran versus Terran 1 that you are going to be quite... Well, you're gonna give us some good analysis on this one, I'm sure.
I feel like a lot of the tournaments that I've been at, a part of competing or casting, and there's like one TvT. It's like a unicorn matchup. And we've already had a couple very high-level TvTs, and this is going to be the best one yet.
This is going to be amazing. We have Liquid Taeja, a player who has won so many tournaments in his career. 11 StarCraft tournaments. He's the most recent Intel Extreme Masters champion from Shenzhen, and he doesn't really lose very often,
he looks really tired.
simply put it there. He does look a bit tired.
I think he might fall asleep.
Well, let's hope he doesn't, because this is a massive game now to qualify for the grand finals. And of course, he goes up against Flash here, who's made his deepest run in his StarCraft 2 tournament since MLG over a year ago, quite over a year ago. But here we go. Down here to the bottom right-hand side as the red Terran playing for KT Rolster. It's Flash!
Wow, the support is palpable. You can feel it in your bones. But there's one other player in this game who also needs your support. Coming from Team Liquid, give it up for Taeja!
Only 4 players remain in this tournament. Which 2 are going to the grand finals? We'll find out one very, very shortly here. This is going to be one to remember. The map pool, QXE, Nimbus here,
yep.
Deadwing, Merry-Go-Round, King, Sejong Station, and Foxtrot. What do you think about the map order there?
That was too much information for me all at once.
Is it going to play out
Nimbus,
aggressive?
Deadwing, I mean, so Nimbus and Deadwing are 4-player maps. They're... Well, Deadwing's kind of a 4-player map, but they have a lot of bases. There's pretty long scouting distances, and usually the bases are all pretty accessible. So we'll likely see pretty heavy macro games coming out here. We do see the players opting for very different openings in this set. A lot of the TvTs we've seen so far have been gas first, gas first, gas first, and gas first. And here we do see Taeja going for gas first, but Flash is actually going to be going for probably a Reaper.
And he's got an SCV scout here, and he's going to go inside the main base of Taeja pretty fast, and he's going to pick up the scout off that gas first. What is the first thing he's going to say to himself upon seeing this?
There's really not too much. I mean, so you know it's not CC first, you know it's not 1-racks. There's not any pressure your opponent is going to put on you, and Flash has a response already calculated for this situation. So we'll have to see, does he decide to make a second Reaper? Is he going to go expansion before that second Reaper? A lot of players, what they'll do is they'll get a reactor right away, and then they can get their command center before the second supply depot. And this is a really strong response to gas first, because it's usually very hard to actually get damage done with the early Reaper, especially on a map like Nimbus, where the entrance into the base is basically the same place in which the Reaper jumps up. And that's exactly what we're going to see from Flash in this game.
All right, well, Flash is taking a second guess here. 2 Marines are out. Third one is building. Flash is going to pop inside the main base now, or at least attempt to with this Reaper.
Yep.
How much information will he
So
gather?
one thing that, and this is really important, this isn't the idea of, not only would Flash get information about his opponent, but he also is giving information by scouting with the Reaper. Notice how he waited about 10 or 15 seconds, and the intention there, I think, is to wait for his opponent to commit to a path before he has any information at all. And sometimes that can allow you to get a more favorable situation from your opponent. Reaper does go down, so Flash will be in the dark for a long time now.
But he did manage to spot the starport, the tech lab.
Yeah.
He managed to get all that information.
So he knows that it's double gas. He knows that he's either going up against Banshee or Raven in almost all situations, but he will not be able to confirm Cloak. He will not be able to confirm Raven until he, unless he uses a scan or until the Banshee gets to his base. And something that can happen there, just going real quick back to what I was saying, if you don't scout with the Reaper for a little bit, you can wait and have your opponent actually commit to a one gas first build. Reaper is so good against that opening. You can get the Reactor Hellion out. It's very easy to defend that.
All right, well, Flash, by the looks of it, with an engineering raid coming down, he's making sure that he doesn't take damage here because Taeja needs to deal damage, clearly. He's on one command center versus 2 of Flash. Flash has the engineering bay for the turrets. The starport, you can imagine there's going to be a Viking pretty fast in this game as well. But do you think that Taeja can land the damage?
Well, turrets have not even been started yet, and this is a little bit of a blunder here. The Banshee is very close to Flash's base already. No turret started anywhere. Now one turret does start in the main. Second turret is now starting in the natural, but you can see how close this Banshee is. He's taking a little bit of a roundabout path. Is the turret in the natural? He's going to take a couple of losses here. Because it's just a little bit delayed. You can see the Banshee gets in. He's going to be able to kill the SCV building that turret, kills 2 SCVs. Third SCV does not quite go down. A little bit of a mistake, but Cloak is finished now, and this is going to be Taeja's time to be the aggressor.
Well, let's see if he gets damage done, because he really needs to. He's only got 2 SCVs so far. The Banshee goes back in. There are Hellions out on the other side of the map here, and we'll see what Flash can get done with those. The Banshee gets a Marine or 2, but it comes around to the right-hand side there. There is a turret, gives vision range to the Viking, but nothing else from this Banshee.
Yeah, the Banshee is getting low enough that he's going to actually send it home. The threat here is you never want to lose a Banshee to 1 scan.
Yeah.
If you can help it. Unless your opponent has 3 Vikings, in which case there's not much you can do about that. So he sends the Banshee home, it's running out of energy. Second Banshee comes in, and he's just going to pick off whatever he can. But the thing is, for Flash, is he's got his Raven out, and that's Raven plus turret. It's going to be very hard for Taeja to actually do any more damage at this point. He's making a Raven of his own, and so we may see him transition into some kind of medevac play, or he's actually going to make a Viking. So both players opting for a little bit more of a defensive style. Flash, with these early Hellions, is almost certainly going into mech.
Yeah, and he's also going to probably go into Hellbats here. The Armory's finished up. He's building 2 Medivacs currently.
Yep.
And, you know, Taeja hasn't really dealt a lot of damage here, but if Flash is able to deal damage now with these units, but at the same time, he does have to be careful about any movements out from the Marines, the Banshees, and tanks together, because he is only on Hellions.
Yep.
This is actually a very interesting set of moves now from both players. How are these going to interact with each other?
So the Banshees right now are going to be very hard for Flash to deal with because he's making those 2 medevacs. The anti-air damage output for Flash is very minimal. If he brings all of his Banshees, and I think he's got 2 Banshees right now. He can bring those, combine the armies with... Oh, but it looks like Flash is going to move in. He's going to take this fight right now.
Yeah, and he drops the Hellbats right on top of the Marines here, and they're not going to last very long against the heat of the flames, and it looks like Flash is going to slowly push his back, but the Banshees are a problem, as you identified earlier.
What Taeja did there is he focus fired down that 1 Viking, and that basically puts a time limit on these Hellbats now. Flash is not going to let anything escape, and now Taeja's completely on the defensive. He's got to somehow keep as many SCVs alive against these 2 medevacs. He's got 1 Viking out. The Raven can drop an auto turret in the natural Banshees, and it looks like Taeja's going to be okay for now. Flash is going to pull back, get that 3rd command center, and continue macroing up.
All right, well, the game is going to slow down a little bit now, but we should see mech come from Flash, and then we're going to see bio come from Taeja here.
Yep.
Is there an advantage for either side here because of the map? Do you think that mech plays out better here or bio plays out better?
So the map allows for an extremely easy natural, and I think that much is apparent from what we've seen. The 3rd base is also relatively easy to take. Taking a 4th base on this map it's one of the hardest 4th bases you can take on any map, and so it just depends. If Flash is just going to take that fast 3 base max and then push, he's not going to have a huge amount of surface area to control. Turrets are very good at keeping out units. Oh, we don't mind. Oh, see ya.
One Viking down.
Yep.
And also scouting information there for Taeja, of course, as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of information there. Both players have pretty good reads on what they're doing. He just saw the third command center with that scan. Meanwhile, Taeja doesn't know that Flash is going for a third command center, and he actually got a third command center off of just one factory and one starport. He's relying on those Hellbats plus those medevacs in conjunction to keep him safe from any early timings.
Well, Flash's supply is going to start to really ramp up now with his factories finishing up and his unit production starting. Banshee's still around, though. They've kind of stayed around from the very beginning of the game and can definitely still offer value if you can find an area to go in. But there's a decent amount of Vikings here.
Yeah, so Taeja has some interesting opportunities here because of... Okay, does Flash have a scan right now? He's got 1 scan, 2 scans. He's going to have 3 scans pretty soon. He wants to make sure if he scans, he can actually kill the Banshee. 1 Banshee goes down, and that's going to reduce Taeja's firepower pretty significantly.
And Flash has a quick scan inside the main base and sees the setup and the production of Taeja. He sees the third command center, the barracks down, and looks like Taeja is going to do the same here. And Taeja scans, sees the third already set up. This surely must be a very frightening thing for him to see, surely.
Yeah, he's very soon going to need to move out. The thing for Taeja right now is that he's not really playing for a ground-based army. What he's doing is he's made Vikings continuously. He's trying to keep that 1 Banshee alive, and because he killed Flash's Raven, he's going to have a really strong opportunity to take map control. He's going to have 2 point defense drones plus the large number of Vikings, and if he can get air control, that will allow him to freely move around with his medevacs. That's going to give him a lot of control over Flash's base, and Flash basically won't be able to move out for a long period of time.
Does Taeja need to deal damage to Flash to slow him down at all? Or do you think he's fine if Flash was to go untouched? Because Flash is going to build up this army pretty fast. It's going to be very strong. He's got good upgrades. Is that something Taeja would like to do?
It works pretty similarly as other matchups, is that the bio is just not very... Okay, Taeja taking a couple shots. Bio is not very supply dense. So if both players max out and Flash has a lot of tanks, he's going to be the better position. But here we go. Taeja's moving in.
Taeja's moving in. He gets a couple of pot shots from the left-hand side. Vikings from the right here. And Flash low in supply. The Hellbats are going to have to do the work here. And he's pushing them Marauders back, but he's not really killing them at this point. And the tanks are going to destroy these Hellbats. What does Flash really have left over here? I mean, if he doesn't have anything,
he's got nothing.
Then he's going to lose his third area. And Taeja's just going to break through.
Yep. And that 1 Banshee did a lot of work in that fight. The Vikings now landing, and Taeja is trying to end the game right here, right now.
And it looks like he will. The SCVs have come off the line, and Flash is going to have to surrender this position. He's going to try his best to hold on, but with tanks sieged into his production, everything is going to get absolutely obliterated here.
Yep.
And Taeja, very swiftly, he just moves in and takes out the army, and it is in a great position.
Yep. And now more units are trying to come out for Flash, but Taeja has established control. GG! Taeja goes up 1-0 in that series. And it really all came down to that Viking Banshee Raven. And it looks so much different if he has no Banshees. If the 2 Banshees early on had both died, there's so much less firepower in the air. The Vikings, yeah, sure, you can get rid of Flash's Vikings, but you still don't really have that great way of dealing damage from the air, that uncontested damage.
Well, is Taeja going to put a stop to this hype train of Flash as it continues to gather momentum for everything he does over the last couple of months? It's all about Flash. His wins, his attendance here in Toronto, his fantastic series yesterday against Snoot, and that is something we could put into consideration here as well. Not the games, but the mentality and the mindset that Flash had yesterday against Snoot. Loses 2 games in a row, then just keeps on telling himself in the booth, I'm not going to lose to this guy, I'm not going to lose to this guy. So we know that no matter how bad the situation can be, he can turn it around. But this is Taeja, man. This is a different type of beast. Taeja is experienced. He's won so many tournaments. It's the last time Flash got a good result in a big tournament was MLG almost a year and a half ago now. In the same duration, Taeja has won 7 different tournaments in that same duration. He's just 2 very different players.
And Flash on Deadwing, probably going to see him go for mech. If he has, some players will not play mech no matter what the map is, no matter what the situation. Pult is probably the best example of that. I don't think I've ever seen him play mech no matter what happens. Flash obviously has a tendency to play mech. Nimbus, a good map for it. Deadwing, also a really good map. And Deadwing allows for you to take that 4 bases on a very small, condensed area. It makes defending them relatively easy. There's a couple vulnerabilities because of the mineral lines being exposed from the low ground. But in general, compared to other maps, very easy 4 bases, and Mech loves that type of situation.
All right, well, we got a bit ready to load into map number 2 now. Is Taeja going to go up 2-0? Flash fails here in the semifinals. He would not. He's going to significantly lower his chances for BlizzCon. He's not going to make it to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Remember, the winner of this guarantees himself a spot there as well. Taeja already having one for his victory in Shenzhen. But here we go.
On Deadwing in the top right-hand corner, currently down 0-1. Give him your support. It's Flash! And here we go. Oh, I almost said his name. Keep clapping. Let's go. Up 1-0. Give him your cheers. It's Liquid Taeja! A lot of support here out in Toronto. So many people. I wish we had more chairs. The people are just standing everywhere, clogging the other booths, making it so hard for other people to get around, and I love it. StarCraft, man. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to watch. And in this game, going to see Gas first.
We are going to see Gas first from Flash. So he's going to play exactly, well, similar, of course, to how Taeja played in the first game. But Taeja's going to do the same again. In recent times, Terran versus Terran has been a very fast-played matchup.
Yep.
With an average game length around 10 minutes, I think we can say, with Gas first versus Gas first becoming incredibly popular.
Yep.
Why so? Why is this the thing to do? Why is it that Taeja's chosen it twice? Why has Flash decided to go for it now as well?
The first thing, the most recent thing that's kind of started this shift, this meta shift in TvT, is the reduction of the cost of Cloak. They reduced the cost from 200 to 100 100. That means that it's hard to justify not getting Cloak because the Terran anti-air is just not there. It just doesn't exist to deal with Banshees. You don't have a unit like the Stalker, which has a lot of health and the same range as a Banshee. You've got Marines, which without upgrades are falling so easily to those Banshees. Thor's not really available early on. And Vikings, yeah, they deal with Banshees, but they give you no counterplay. And so Gas first Banshee, rushing to get that Banshee as quickly as possible gives you so much control over the game. That combined with Siege tanks no longer need the Siege upgrade, which is a long time change. And then the Medevac boost, there's just so many advantages for the aggressor in TvT, and all of Terran's early aggressive units that don't require upgrades are all tech units. Factory for the Hellions and the Siege tank, Starport for the Banshee, the Medevac, and the best responses to Banshee are also tech units. Vikings, Ravens, all that type of thing. It all is kind of gearing TvT into a way that's super aggressive, very fast-paced, and is often Gas first.
Well, with two aggressive options from both players here, and how well refined both of these builds are we going to just see one player attack the other, and then that player attack the other, and then does this not create a very weird scenario where both are attacking each other at the same time?
So the thing is that since Gas first has become so popular, some people try and meta, you know, they think, okay, my opponent's going Gas first, so I'm going to do something that specifically counters what I think he's going to do. Oh, the Reaper's going to jump up. Is Flash going to notice that he needs to get out? Is that Reaper going to die? The Reaper goes down! Flash is completely in the dark. The two Marines, I mean, it could be a lot of builds.
Yeah.
He really doesn't know anything from that.
Well, likewise can be said for Taeja on Flash, though. That Reaper, you don't really know when and how it was built, right? That still could have been just a regular Reaper opening, but couldn't find where Taeja was, so...
Right, so it could have been a delayed Reaper Scout from Flash, and this Hellion, though, will tell him everything. And you can see Taeja's Hellion is actually out. Taeja getting the first shot off, so that if these guys continue to duel, Taeja's Hellion is going to win, but Flash is bringing a second Hellion in. Boom! Flash now with the advantage in Hellions. He's going to probably just run this one up into the base. Sees the Marines. He knows he can't go any further. At this point, both players should have a good read. They're both going gas first. And you can see Flash is going for the early Viking. This is to catch the Banshee. And then he's getting a Raven behind it. Meanwhile, Taeja is actually trying to do that damage. And he's making a second Banshee.
So surely this must be good for Flash if he stops this. I mean, Cloak isn't ready, so the Viking's not even that far away, and then the Raven to back this up.
Yeah, this is the interaction that's so key. In Fezzo, let's see that Viking and Banshee. That's what we got to look at. If this Banshee gets around the Viking, then all of a sudden it's a ton of trouble, but he should be able to kill that Banshee before Cloak finishes. You can see Cloak, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, Banshee goes down, and Flash is in a very good spot. He's not going to have to sit and be so defensive. He doesn't have that second Banshee to worry about, and that means he can basically stabilize with just this Viking and Raven. If there's 2 or 3 Banshees on the field, you have to build turrets. You cannot defend with just Viking Raven. For now, he can kind of... He doesn't have anything in his natural, and so he can easily just hold on with this Viking Raven.
Right.
Doesn't have to worry about the 2 Banshees coming in, threatening the supply depots, threatening the mineral line. He can just hold the mineral line, which is the most vulnerable part, and a little bit of scouting here. Oh, Widowmine. Oh, see ya!
One Hellion does get picked off. Second Banshee coming into play for Taeja. He's going deeper underground if he doesn't get any damage with this. So obviously the second Banshee investment. Oh, and he's going to run straight into the Raven here and gets denied immediately
is
by
Flash close enough? I think that Raven might be close enough. Will he be able to get this Banshee here? It looks like, yes, the Raven is trailing away a little bit. And he's going to use a scan here. One more hit. The Banshee goes down.
Taeja is in a little bit of trouble now. 2 Banshees down. He's got a slower command center here as Flash built it straight on the natural. As we see Taeja up on the high ground here. Flash got map control. He's doing well in this game. He's up to 2 factories here. Blue Flame being researched.
And this is, both players are actually opting for mech this game, but Taeja has not started Blue Flame. Blue Flame is about as important an upgrade as Stim is. And if you think about that, Stim is the best upgrade in the game for Terran Bio. Blue Flame is that same way, especially in Hellion versus Hellion. If whoever has Blue Flame will win the fight, you need about 20 to 25% more Hellions than your opponent, which is just not going to happen at this point in the game. And so if Flash is very crisp on his timings here, he may be able to hit Taeja and actually break him in about 30 seconds, depending on what he chooses to do.
Well, not without these 3. So 3 Hellions for nothing there. So nice pick off there for Taeja.
And now actually all those things I just said are completely wrong, because Flash is only down. Flash has 3 Hellions. Taeja's got 10. Blue Flame or not, you're not going to win that fight.
And well, Taeja just scanned inside the main base. Sees the double factory here. There's a single tank for Flash, but there are so many Hellions here. There's auto turrets with the Raven as well. Flash has got to be careful. He does not know the high amount of units are right here.
We're going to go into something weird, though, because the 3 Vikings and Raven are flying into Taeja's base right... No, they're going home. I think he should have kept going, but... Here we go, a little bit of fight at the front. Vikings are going to land. The Raven's got some auto turrets. Flash needs to bring everything he's got to the front here, or he's going to get broken.
Yeah, 2 Vikings at the back there. A lot of Hellions, and there's a lot of SCVs here as well. He's going to have to lift up the wall, but the SCVs are stuck on the low ground here. And all of a sudden, after a fantastic start here for Flash, he's in a lot of trouble. 3 auto turrets on that factory. And it looks like on the other side of the map, Flash is over there with 3 Vikings, 3 auto turrets. A 4th Viking shows up here.
Yeah, and both players are trying to get control of the opposing players' production area, eliminating as many SCVs as they can. SCVs pulled off the line for Flash. It looks like he might be able to clean up what Taeja has. Then likewise, Taeja is also pulling his SCVs, but Flash has a lot of Vikings. Taeja took that fight away from his auto turrets, and it went much more poorly than the other cleanup that Flash is now trying to prevent in Taeja's base.
And he's got rid of the tech lab, the reactor on the factory as well here, so it's a naked factory, slower production coming in. SCVs are going to get transferred back into the main base where it's safer, but who comes out on top here? They both completely gutted each other's mineral lines.
The command centers could die for Taeja here. I'm not sure that Taeja actually has enough. The Viking is cloaked. Flash finally recognizes he needs to lift those Vikings, not let them die. But now there's 2 Vikings and 3 auto turrets attacking Taeja's command center. Meanwhile, Taeja has not been able to continue to do damage in Flash's base. Flash is stabilized here. He's now rallying more units across the map.
I can't believe this. This game's been absolutely wild right now. There's a lot of SCVs on that natural for Taeja, which are very, very exposed at this point. And are we going to see Flash equalize up this series? He's taking a fight with more auto turrets. Ravens around. 3 Hellies are going to get into the SCV lines. This is so bad for Taeja right now. Flash, oh, he's going to kill so many here. And without these SCVs, the production's already, been halted through the lack of tech lab and reactors.
Yep. Taeja's going to put down an auto turret there to try and stabilize the front of his base, using those auto turrets very well. The barracks falls for Taeja. He's not going to be able to add additional factories, not that he has the economy to do so, and he's actually going to give up his natural. He doesn't have a way to deal with these couple of Hellions and siege tanks, and Flash has every single rally point set to Taeja's base. He's going to try and take control of the natural. Meanwhile, both players with almost no income at all, the 21 SCVs to 25 SCVs.
And down goes that unit. GG's called.
Flash ties it up. 1-1.
1-1. And that really could have gone either way. It was a fight where small mistakes were the biggest of mistakes there.
So the biggest mistake, I think, the main reason that Taeja lost that base trade was he took the fight away from his auto turrets. There were 3 auto turrets that both players put down. Taeja was very patient with his. He waited until he was actually in Flash's base. He knew he wanted to get on top of the production, but then he moved away from the auto turrets and took the fight without their support. Meanwhile, Flash constantly, he was always at his auto turrets, and they provide so much support. Auto turrets, 150 health, 1 armor, I think. Probably. We're going to say it's true. It's like 2 or 3 Marines kind of worth of health and damage and all these things. And yeah, Flash just had the better instant reaction to what was going on. And I think maybe part of that is Flash's knowledge of what was going to happen was superior to Taeja's. So if you think back to that moment when Taeja is moving up Flash's ramp to his 3rd, Taeja does not know that Flash has those Vikings and Ravens right outside his base. Whereas Flash knows that Taeja is attacking him and that he has opportunities for a counterattack. And that allowed Flash to be just a little bit more in the moment, a little bit more responsive, and a little bit more precise in how that base trade played out.
Well, going into game number 3 now. Let's find out who's going to take this 3rd map and who's going to gain the lead now. The player who gets this next one would be on match point. Is it Flash who's going to continue his miracle run in the last couple of months here? Or is it Liquid Taeja who's just going to pick up another championship, pick up another tournament as he's done so many times prior to this? Of course, the winner of this semi-final will be our first finalist. They'll be guaranteed a slot in the World Championship. Well, I guess Flash is, since Taeja is already qualified.
Right.
And WCS points. It's all about that. Can Flash somehow find a way to go to BlizzCon at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Could be possible with a victory at this tournament.
All right, guys, going into game number 3 in the bottom of the map, he is Flash! And in the top right-hand corner, the blue Terran. He seems unstoppable all the time, but here, can he be beaten? He is Liquid Taeja! I like those. I like those. Someone had a Protoss shirt, but it said it in Korean. It's kind of cute. Yeah, I like that. It's a good shirt. And
merry-go-round. QXC.
Yep.
3-player map, small-ish.
If you thought, we were talking about TvT being aggressive, this is
the staple aggressive map.
Most aggressive map out of any map in the pool right now for TvT.
And both players opted for gas first again here.
Yep.
Do you think that Flash goes for the same Reaper? It was a single Marine into the Reaper, which actually was attempted to get him information on what Taeja was going for. Is that something that he would want to do every time he opens like this?
It's, as far as I know, and I might be wrong, is that build is the Flash guess first.
Okay.
That's the first time that I've seen him do it, not at this tournament, but watching Flash play, he was the first player that I saw do that. I think that's his way. It's kind of like Taeja builds one Hellion and uses it to scout, Flash builds one Reaper. And it makes a lot of sense when you're opting for the transition into Raven Viking. Often the threat is, if you don't build Marines early, you can't defend the first Banshee. And the Reaper cuts into your Marine count.
Right.
But if you're going straight into Raven then Viking, you don't really need a lot of Marines to defend that first Banshee.
Well, we'll follow that to see if Flash is going to do it. No SCV scouts from either side here, so neither of them are going to get any information on the other player, and Taeja not going to get any at all, but...
He's going to go Reaper.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Told you. It's because if he built a Marine, he would have been supply blocked. That's why I thought it was. Anyway, doesn't matter. Both players opening with... Taeja's actually going one gas right now.
Flash had a good start last game, and he didn't get the Reaper in.
Right.
If he gets the Reaper in, how good is that for him? Is that just the best thing in the world?
Well, so the thing is that whether or not he got the Reaper in last game, I don't think it would have changed what he did, because he already was opting for the safe build against a gas first Banshee. The Reaper is really more important in general in establishing where is my opponent spawning, and are they doing some kind of early expand where maybe if I go Raven Viking, I'm actually behind because I'm not doing any damage at all, and their expansion is much earlier than mine. As far as if you were to blindly pick two builds and match them against each other, Flash's build was superior. It was a direct counter to what Taeja was doing, and since he spotted that early Banshee, he was able to pick it off before Cloak finished.
But Taeja's gone for a different type of gas first now. He's going to try and eliminate the Hellion from Flash. He does pull back just in the nick of time here. But he's gone for one gas here. Medivac is on the way. Marines have been made, of course, and there's Hellions here.
Oh, the Hellion does get picked off here. Nice move, and Flash is going to get information about this. I don't think Taeja's... Oh, he's... Well, no. If Flash runs the Reaper straight into these Marines. Did he see the medevac? I think.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
He saw a second Hellion, though, which I think is a pretty good indication. He built a bunker at the top of his ramp. So he recognizes the threat. He makes that Viking. He's going to put his factory on the reactor once again. And the early Viking plus the bunker should be enough to defend this. There's not a good elevator spot on this map like you might see on Catalina.
Okay, let's find out here as Taeja's going to boost his medevac around the left-hand side here. Viking for Flash spots the three Hellions. Obviously doesn't want to take any damage here. The medevac trying to find its way in. Flash anticipating this. But
yeah, what he's doing now is he's actually distracting him so that the medevac can move into the back of Flash's base. Marines start to unload. How much damage can they get done here?
Only one SCV so far, and Taeja finds the wall there. So not a lot of damage there for Taeja. Single worker, and he's got to boost away here not to lose the medevac full of Marines. Command center now starting for Taeja, so that was kind of a non-successful or super successful attack there.
Yeah, I think.
But he didn't really lose anything.
Maybe a slight advantage to Taeja right now because of the earlier command center, and he's got a little bit more control. Because of the early medevac, he can kind of keep his opponent at least a little bit hemmed in, whereas Flash is playing a little bit more defensively at the moment. And actually, Flash has still not started his command center. He's going very heavy on the Hellions. Flash has opportunities here for actually a Hellion timing. What he might do is when he gets 3 Vikings, move out on the map and try and bust Taeja.
Well, I mean, what does Taeja need to do to defend that? I mean, he's getting 2 Vikings right now in a tank. Is that enough? Just 2 Vikings in a tank?
Yeah,
do you think he needs more?
The tank supported by some Hellions should be fine. The real difficulty is the positioning of the units. If, for example, the Vikings and the Raven fly into Taeja's main, drop 3 auto turrets, and Taeja pulls his army back, then these units at the top of the ramp won't be there, and Flash will be able to run right in and get the position that he wants.
Well, I guess we'll have to follow that. But Flash is going to play mech here. Second factory has started, if you didn't quite notice that.
Yep.
And Blue Flame, Hellion production, I would imagine, would be following very, very shortly here. But Taeja hasn't really got a lot of information on Flash. I mean, the last time he checked what Flash was doing was with a scan, but he didn't really see the unit count. He didn't see the follow-ups. But now he's moving down. 4 Vikings tracking the medevac.
Yep.
He's going to have a scout, and he sees the Hellions.
So what he's doing here is he's using the medevac to try and bait out the Vikings. Notice how he's keeping his Vikings farther away. So what he doesn't want Flash to know there are Vikings. He anticipates the moving of the Vikings, and now Taeja's going to move in and try and take this engagement, but the point defense drone is just too strong. 2 Vikings die, and now the Raven obviously has no energy. There's no point defense drone left, but he's got to wait for these 2 additional Vikings, and Taeja may... Oh, well, Flash spots it now. So Flash has to be pretty careful with these Vikings, waiting until the 2 more get out, and Taeja's going to go on a hunt. If he can, he desperately wants to kill that Raven.
Well, these Vikings are not going to pop out together here, so this is actually quite problematic.
Yeah, and actually, if Taeja stays on top of that starport, he
Taeja's chasing down the Raven here, and he's going to get it.
Well, he's buffered, he's pulled back a little bit because of that auto turret, and the Vikings are starting to get rallied kind of in obscure places so that Taeja isn't able to easily hunt them down. Meanwhile, Taeja going for 2 additional barracks. He started Stim, and he's continuing to make siege tanks. And he's still got those Hellions on the map, so he's going to try and establish some degree of map control, but this is going to allow Flash to regroup his Vikings. Whatever threat there was is kind of gone at this point. Both players have a similar number of Vikings, and it'll be hard for Taeja, even though he's got 6 to Flash's 4, to actually get across the map and force that battle.
Well, Flash is moving into the center of the map now. He's going to hold the Zalnoga tower, and he's moving forwards. Blue Flame has finished, but behind, well, up that wall and up that ramp, there's quite a lot of units, I think.
He's going to move up here. Nope. And that's a correct decision from Flash. He recognizes there's just a little bit too much there. I don't think... Let's see. What does Flash know right now? Flash knows... Not a whole lot.
No.
He knows he's got some barracks. Yeah, they're in the factory. Presumably also a starport.
That's I would imagine Flash knew his opponent had a starport.
3rd command center is started for Taeja, but he went up to 5 barracks beforehand. And meanwhile, Flash is actually going up to 3 factories and also a 3rd command center. So neither player committing super heavily to that 2 base aggression, but because Taeja went up to 5 barracks before 3rd command center, he will have some opportunities to put the pressure on, establish map control, and at least threaten some drops.
All right. Well, this game has definitely slowed down a lot more now, despite this being the super aggressive map. There was a lot of attempts for it.
Yep.
But none of them really could get in.
A little bit of a drop here, and the pickup.
Nice pickup
And that's...
there.
And the Vikings, 6 Vikings landed in Taeja's main. They're just kind of hanging out there. Both players, where's that scan? Who's scanning what?
Taeja is scanning Flash.
Flash is natural, sees the Thor, sees the Hellbat, so he knows 100% this is mech. I mean, he saw the blue flame too, so he knew long before that this was mech.
Is there an opening for Taeja to try to get into, you know, a similar attack as we saw in the previous one, to try to break Flash's 3rd base area? Is there kind of a timing?
Not in the same way, not because of air control, because you notice Flash is the one with the Raven this game. Taeja has no Raven, Taeja has no Banshees. The Vikings will actually probably just be a ground force.
Well, Taeja's scanned and he hasn't pulled back. He may fancy this fight.
I think what he's going to do is try and pressure the natural now. He sees the siege tanks are out of position. He's going to move in here, trying to take a fight.
But how well is he going to actually do it? There's a lot of Vikings. There's a lot of Hellbats here. 1 tank on the left-hand side is dealing out a lot of damage, and Flash pushes that back with ease.
Yep. And now Flash sitting at a comfortable 30 supply advantage. Taeja is just trying to jockey for position. He wants to siege his tanks in range of something important, but this is... He's really... out on a limb here. He's got no medevacs, he's got no air control, and that's going to allow Flash to kind of push up his tanks and siege out his sieger if Taeja stays. Taeja smartly decides to fall back. He's going to take his 3rd command center and transition into some more bio, some more medevacs before he actually moves out again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel a little bit worried for Taeja here. Flash is sitting back, he's got a lead in this game, he's building up, and the bases on a map like this are not that far away from each other.
Yep.
When Flash gets this army ready to go, which isn't going to be that far away, he's going to move out, and is Taeja going to be able to stop it? Does he need to think about counterattacks, maybe runarounds, drops? in a direct engagement, Flash is going to win.
Yeah, for sure. And
So how does Taeja, resolve that problem?
It's, if you imagine, it's kind of like Terran versus Protoss, where you expect the bio player to have a slight supply advantage. If the meching player has a supply advantage, you expect that player to have a significant advantage in the game. And it's really not about taking that head-on engagement once both players max out. Taeja has opportunities for aggression when he's ahead in supply as a bio player, but because he's behind in supply, basically what he's going to have to do is always go for the counterattacks. He has to keep threatening Flash until he can at least catch up in supply, and then what he wants is for Flash to move out and then for him to be able to move in and get some damage done.
Well, Flash has secured his main and natural, per se, with all these turrets. He does not want to get dropped in. He's really pushing it into a direct engagement. When they meet, Flash wants to meet in the middle, army versus army. Taeja's got a force on the left. He's also got a force on the right-hand side with some units in the middle too, but Flash is ready. +2 attack is almost done. He's getting a couple of more units so he can go up to 200 supply, and he's going to make a move. Now, if Taeja wants to go 2 games up in this series, now is the time to figure out how to not fight this army.
Yeah, he absolutely wants to go around it. Even if it means going into a very chaotic base trade, he will lose the direct engagement. There is just no way for him to deal with
Flash
that.
is on top of it. Both of them on top of scans. He's scanned to the left-hand side. He knows exactly where Taeja's army is. And if Taeja's getting caught out of position here...
Oh yeah, if Flash is able to actually collapse on this army and force this engagement, Taeja needs to just keep running. He needs to actually go all the way up into that base, and Flash is trying to take the fight here. The medevac's moving in.
And he drops all the Hellbats on top of this. It wasn't the best of Hellbat drops there. I don't think he got too many of the units. But right now, Taeja's coming south. Does Flash have enough outside his third base to make sure he doesn't lose to a weird counterattack? Looks like Taeja is going to back off tanks. In position there. And Flash just looking for one of these armies, but Taeja's caught up in supply. He's up to 200 almost himself.
The Marine kills the SCV, building the command center.
A bullet to the head, QXE.
And there was much rejoicing. Now Taeja controlling the center of the map, and Flash is in a little bit of an awkward spot because he knows there's that army on the left side, but at the same time, there's that army in the middle.
Does Taeja like what he sees? He scans and sees only 4 tanks. He's going to move south here. If he breaks this position...
This is it. Flash is incredibly out of position. Taeja's army is looking quite big. He's using his siege tank there. He wants to keep that army hemmed in for as long as possible. Everything else is coming back, though, to defend.
Flash is going to pull some SCVs. He's got to buy time. He's got to get his units here. He's dropping his supply. His main army is so slow. It's trying to get back here. He doesn't have the medivacs full of units. Taeja is going to deal damage on the natural. Vikings are going to fly away. They're not there in numbers, but... Flash comes in to intercept it. And a massive drop by Flash on top of these Marauders. And he gets rid of almost half of them there, and he will clean up every single one of them. Beautiful defense there by Flash.
And Taeja actually trying to push down the ramp. It looks like he took some losses, but he's actually going to establish control there. Turrets go down, all those siege tanks fall, and now Flash is still in a supply advantage.
But at the end of the day, Taeja did avoid that main fight.
And he was able to reset the siege tank count in a lot of ways. Siege tanks are kind of like the Colossus and High Templar of this matchup. Anytime the meching player is able to get a huge number of siege tanks, you know that you can't take that head-on engagement, all else being equal. So as much as possible, you want to trade your bio for those tanks. And that's exactly what Taeja did. He bought himself more time before that Doom push can come from Flash. In order to push, Flash basically needs enough siege tanks to win the head-on engagement, but also enough siege tanks to not go into a ridiculous base trade scenario. Oh, medevac full of Hellbats does go down. Taeja with some very nice army control right now. You can see his positioning, his ability to establish control of the map is so good at the moment.
I'm getting quite excited for this series now.
You're not even sitting down anymore.
I'm not sitting properly at all.
Took off your shoes. I don't know when that happened.
I always take off my shoes.
Ah, okay. And oh, wait, there was a transition somewhere. Where was that? That was Flash's base. So he's starting to go into the Ravens, and he's adding additional Banshees. So basically what this means is if the position ever becomes stagnant, the Banshee and Viking will control the air, and he'll be able to pick off the siege tanks. Now Taeja's moving in, trying to get a dominant position here. Tanks sieging up. Taeja's moving in, trying to take this engagement.
Trying, I think, is the key word here, because Flash pushes him back there, and I don't think that was the best of fights for Taeja. All his units clumped up, so many tanks behind that front line. And Taeja gets shut down quite hard there, unfortunately for him. But are the windows of opportunity for Taeja to take good fights now slowly closing? Flash has established himself on full bases. He's always in position, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, where does Taeja go? Does he need to make a transition himself?
It's kind of coming back to the same situation we just saw. The problem for Taeja now is that Flash is starting to make the Sky transition. And even though it's not a full battle cruiser or mass Raven, just adding those Banshees to his army make a big difference. This is going to help Taeja for the time being, sieging out that base, but he has no Thor, and that's going to make it hard for him to actually maintain control against this Viking Banshee force. You can see Taeja recognizes it. All he did is moves in, kills some SCVs while Flash is out of position, and then he pulls
Backs
back.
off.
Yeah.
Well, Flash is moving to the center here. He's going to take the Xel'Naga Tower in. Taeja's not liking the size of this army for sure. It's a very, very dangerous army that Flash has. Funny enough, I don't think Flash started his +3 attack on time. I mean, it's only just coming in way. He finished +2 attack in the first, very initial push.
Oh,
so
no. He got +1 armor. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. So +1 armor just finished, and now he's going to +3 attack. So he went +1, +2 attack, +1 armor, now +3 attack.
We remember, I don't know if anyone else has noticed here, but we do have the starports at the top here by Taeja. He's hiding them at the north. It is a big transition coming in.
And
3
starports
that's
going to be battle
core.
cruisers. And that's what Taeja is going to use to break the supply density of Flash's army.
Yeah.
The siege tanks, at this point, you cannot take a head-on engagement. Taeja's not really splitting his army anymore. I think he knows that the battle cruisers are coming, and so he's not as concerned about making these big engagements. Oh, Hellbats drop. They do get down, and the SCVs are going to surround them, and a fair amount of SCVs fall, but he does clean that up.
What do you like Flash's Banshee count here? 6 Banshees with all these Vikings and Ravens? How useful are they? Because
it's a little risky, because if Taeja goes into a full-on Sky transition, the Banshees are not particularly useful, but they are going to be great at just picking off units here and there. You can see, even though there's a Thor, there's a big stim from Taeja, and it looks like he's going to do a little bit of damage here. A couple Banshees go down, but Flash is going to hold.
He loses 4 Banshees.
He sees it.
He sees the transition. He says, let me kill a couple of SCVs. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It's like, you have 3 starports and a fusion core, right?
And Flash slaps down 3 starports of his own now.
It's like, I think I know what your intentions are, Taeja.
But now Flash knows this no longer becomes a surprise. And I mean, are we even going to see battle cruisers anymore? You think we'll still see them now Flash knows?
Well, so usually what people will do is they'll make a couple Ravens first, let the Ravens accumulate some energy. They're going to be very efficient at point defense drone, hunter seeker on top of those clumped up Vikings, and then eventually Taeja may go into battle cruisers, but he may also just play to get air control.
Yeah. Yes.
Meanwhile,
yes, Kuxi.
both players scanning a lot. These 2 Thors basically render the Banshees impotent. The Thors kind of keep them from ever really getting close. And
this right-hand side is a little bit weak here for Flash. Taeja's got a small squad of units. Stimming
Flash has nothing over there.
2 Ravens, 2
This
Vikings.
attack is completely blindsided Flash. There's going to be a big... I mean, that's a significant amount of bio that you want just reinforcements to deal with. And Flash is...
Yeah, Taeja's finally broken some armor here, and he's going to drop a Thor on top of these tanks here, and he's going to try to break this position. And Taeja, after all of this, armies moving all over the map, just a simple squad of units breaks Flash. It's incredibly weird to see. And now Taeja's got position on that fourth. He's got inside the main base. He's destroying the tech labs and reactors on all these production facilities.
Banshees just take so much damage from Thors. Banshee does go down, and now he's going to have a much harder time dealing with this. This is kind of... So you were asking, well, what do you think about 6 Banshees? And they're okay, but I think 2 Banshees kind of accomplish the same thing, and then the battle cruiser would be more useful. If you imagine a battle cruiser against a Thor, you're going to be able to clean it up without much trouble, whereas the Banshee just disappears.
Still very surprised that that simple move there from Taeja gamed in the position in this game.
Yep.
And Flash down to 165 supply. Now Taeja just taking the entire of the map.
Taeja is doing it again. It's like...
he's like,
Flash,
that worked well.
Yeah. It's like, maybe I'll just walk some units into your main a second time. Flash sees it now, so he sees and he's going to siege his tanks. The Marauders are going to try and go in here, but well, actually, 1, 2, 3 siege tanks go down. 4th siege tank falls, and even though these Marauders are going to get cleaned up, again, Taeja is keeping Flash's siege tank count low.
And he's opened up that avenue again. He's got another squad of units coming from the very same position. Meanwhile, the main army of Taeja is on the left, and he's going to break a couple of siege tanks again.
And this is so weird, because you think, like, this is the kind of style and the kind of moves you need to make if you're really sticking to bio. Taeja's got a full sky transition behind this, and Flash just does not seem to be able to establish constant, stable control of his bases. Every time he moves out to take another base, his position weakens just a little bit more. He doesn't really have the things at home that he needs to stabilize.
Well, he's going to use a Raven point, Seeking Missile, sorry. Boom! Nice split off there from Taeja.
Yep, doesn't lose that much. And just continuing to kill the add-ons here. Siege tanks are just so bad in small numbers. You can see, 2 Marauders kill a siege tank. That's not the kind of trade that you need. What Flash really needs right now is either a walled-off set of siege tanks at that natural or a planetary fortress there. And that, nice.
2 tanks down.
Yep. Okay.
This squad's not going to do as well as the previous ones, unfortunately.
The Thors are monstrous, and killing the Thors is nice, but they're really, for how much health they have, they're not that much gas.
So while this is all going on, we have Taeja's fleet being made here.
Yeah.
One battle cruiser with these Vikings and Ravens. But does Flash have the numbers himself?
Well, let's take a look at what Flash has. So 18 Vikings for Flash, 17 for Taeja.
Okay.
9 Ravens for Flash, 6 for Taeja.
We're going to see some explosions soon, QXC.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Hunter Seekers, and the Ravens for Taeja have a bit more energy than the Ravens for Flash, I think. Yeah, because Flash has been using some of that energy to actually defend these pushes. Where is Taeja going now?
Yeah, I was actually just wondering that.
I think so. Instead of doing those run-bys with the small bioforce,
he's going to do it with his ships.
Yeah. He's like, all right, defend 2 places at once. One of the places is Viking Raven battle cruiser.
And the other one's still the bioforce on the other side.
Still the bioforce. And what Flash really needs is to just drop a couple point defense drones and siege tanks on the left side while bringing his fleet back to defend the right side. But
Flash's Air Force here is doing all right for themselves.
Oh, he's actually going in. He's going to bunch of Hunter Seekers drop. He's going to try and clean up. How many Hunter Seekers do go down? None go down. All the medevacs get cleaned up. But
what is this game? I mean, you got one army on the left-hand side, then Taeja's on the right here.
It's a sky base trade.
It is a sky base trade. Don't really see this very often.
One thing that would help Flash a lot right now would be a big group of Widow Mines.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very nice, relatively low-cost way to deal with that pretty slow Sky Force. Once you get that upgrade, you can kind of burrow underneath the Vikings, and each Widow Mine kills a Viking, guaranteed. And a couple of Widow Mines hitting on top of each other with the Viking splash, and that's good damage for you.
Taeja's coming around here, but his Ravens aren't that close to his Vikings here. Flash turns around. Well, actually, now Taeja knows and spots this.
And I think...
QXC.
Here we go. This is going to be the fight. This is going to decide the game right here. A lot of point defense drones go down.
Flash doesn't want to take it. He's backing off. He doesn't want to take this here.
Yep. And a couple Hunter Seekers go down on the Ravens. Taeja needs to split those Ravens up. Point defense drones don't save you, but only 2 Ravens do fall. And now Flash...
Why do you think he ran from that fight? You think he wasn't ready?
I think
he didn't have the numbers?
It was a mental thing. He just wasn't mentally prepared to take that fight. He wasn't able to assess exactly what he was getting himself into quickly enough, and so he backs off. Now Taeja making a little bit of trade in the center of the map here, but this is going pretty favorably for Flash.
Flash is going to go back in now. He's ready this time.
Yep.
He's chasing Taeja down.
He recognizes he's got enough energy on his...
Here we go. This is the real fight this time. The point defense drone's coming in. The Hunter Seeker Mikowski going off. He's trying to split his Vikings, and he actually pulls back. And no big explosions there.
The problem for Flash right now, if we look at the energy of his Ravens, which I'm doing right now, not a single Raven has more than about 60 energy.
Let's talk about the money a little bit. Do you think that's a big problem here for Flash? He just doesn't really have much.
As long as no fight happens, he'll be fine. He's got 5 base economy. There's tons of minerals, but here's a big engagement for Taeja. He's moving in. The Vikings all land. Is Taeja going to be able to break Flash here? It looks like Flash is coming out on top. He's got so much more supply. Taeja's pushed back.
Taeja's pushed back. Flash takes a massive fight there. He had a couple of Thors as support underneath this army, and Taeja's going to lose it. GG!
Flash takes game number 3, leads the series 2-1. Right? Good. That was a long game.
That was so epic.
I thought like maybe 3 games had passed.
What a great Terran versus Terran. What a great game there from both sides. It was from the very beginning all the way to the end, just incredibly high level Terran versus Terran plays. And Flash takes a lead in this series.
Yep.
And now is a single game away from advancing to the grand finals of the Intel Extreme Masters.
Flash definitely looked a lot more. It was interesting to see each player's strengths go against each other. Taeja had the superior positioning. He had the superior army control. He had the superior maneuvering. But Flash knew how to make the right composition, and he knew how to use it better than Taeja. He knew when to take fights and when not to take fights. The decision there, when he got caught a little off guard, to just back off. You know, he drops a couple of Hunter Seekers to make it hard for his opponent to actually chase him, drops a couple of point defense drones so his units aren't taking damage. He knew to avoid the fight that maybe he could win, maybe he couldn't, but he wasn't ready for it. And then when Taeja actually came into the center there, Flash had everything. Every single unit he had was pretty much at that fight, and Bio's just not going to win that.
So when you're Taeja and you lose a game like this, it's not really something you can, you know, there are so many different things that could have gone better throughout the entire of the game. It was a long game. Do you think that Taeja says, okay, I can maybe just step it up a level and do the same again? Or do you think he says to himself, okay, let me try in a different way, something earlier, something aggressive to try to find the victory?
Yeah, I think the biggest situation that Taeja wants to avoid right now is Bio versus Mech endgame. And this is something that I've been talking about a little bit over the course of the weekend, is when you find yourself in a situation where your opponent seems to be at an advantage, especially when it's a long, drawn-out game, you want to avoid that, because often the stuff, the understanding that Flash has about that endgame scenario is not something that Taeja is going to be able to easily pick up just from game to game. And we saw this, probably the best example this whole weekend was versus Snoot, where a lot of the Protosses were going into that Stormhost play, and they were continuously, no matter how good the start was, they were always ending up behind. They were always losing eventually. And so I think it's important for Taeja to recognize, like, Flash may be better than him in that endgame Bio versus Mech. So if you're going to play Bio, it's time to end the game earlier, be more aggressive earlier, or it's time to play Mech. You got to just avoid that situation.
Do you think he would play Mech, though? Because, I mean, I know Taeja can. We all know Taeja can play Mech. But he's, you know, more used to playing Bio. He's had a lot more experience. He's played a lot more games playing Bio. Yep. Would he make such a drastic change to a player who only plays Mech? So he's going to be playing a lot more Mech versus Mech games than you.
Yep.
Taeja would be going onto his playing field for a game that could eliminate him. Is that you, Carmack?
I wish. There's 4 of them. They're like a... What's... Wow, what was your question? Something about Mech versus... No, I'm kidding. I was listening.
I know you're listening. I know. Do you think he'll go there, though?
Well, he did try and play Mech on Deadwing. We already saw Taeja feels at least confident enough to bust out his Mech. And sometimes you can get a bit of an advantage based on the, you know, the expectations of your opponent. If Flash goes into the next game thinking he's going to be playing against Bio, then maybe he won't really transition as well, or he won't make quite the same level of decisions, or he won't recognize that he's playing against Mech until it's a little bit too late.
So, I mean, we've talked a little bit about the strategical options here. Now let's talk about the map that the strategy can be deployed on. The map is going to be King Sejong Station. It's a 2-player map.
Yep.
How much does this now impact what they both could be thinking about when it comes to the Mech, the Bio, the aggression, the not aggression? Is it a super early aggressive map like Merry-Go-Round? Is it something we can see a long drawn-out Mech like we saw in this previous one as well?
I wouldn't be surprised if this game ended before 10 minutes.
Boom!
And that has to do with Sejong's layout. So in TVP, the long cliffs that you can approach very close to on the ground, like the lower level, favor blink play. In TVT, those cliffs are all about siege tank elevators and just general drop play. And on Sejong, not only do you have a huge amount of surface area around the main, you have an area at the natural where you can actually siege out part of the natural from the low ground. And because siege tanks are in general just so strong in this matchup, you're not really going into like a weird build if you're going to go for that. You know, in TVP or TVZ, you make an early siege tank and it feels wrong because it doesn't do anything besides exploit the configuration on the map. On TVT, early siege tanks give you such a strong advantage. Here we go, guys. Going into game number 4, the bottom right Terran, he is Flash! One of the best players in StarCraft 2 in all of history. He won the last IEM, but he needs your support. Give it up for Liquid Taeja!
This could be the last game of this semi-final. This is map number 4 in this best of 5. Flash leads 2 games to 1. He's 1 game away from going to the grand finals and doing what a lot of people thought could happen at this tournament. He came into the tournament as, is it safe to say, the favorite or one of the big favorites for this tournament?
I think this is one of those situations where the hopes and reality lined up for the fans. There are a lot of players that go into a tournament and the spectators, other players, everybody wants them to do well. But somewhere secretly they kind of think like, you know, this player's probably not going to do well.
Right.
Flash is one of those players that people want to do well. He's been around forever. And with his recent streak, he seems poised to do exactly what people are expecting.
And I can't help but feel as well as if Flash beats Taeja here, the reigning Intel Extreme Masters champion, the tournament is his for the taking. Despite whoever's in the next semi-final, he's going to have a lot of momentum, and I really feel he's going to be gunning for that #1 slot in that best of 7 grand final. But here we do have 2 builds. Gas first from Taeja, whereas we're going towards the Reaper opening by Flash.
And this will perhaps, it looks like it'll probably play out very similar to
the first map of the series, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, which was Nimbus.
Yeah, that one. In which we'll probably see him, he'll scout with the SCV. He's going to see its gas first. Probably get the reactor as soon as this first Reaper finishes, and then get a command center and start preparing to deal with either, you know, gas first Banshee, gas first Marine Hellion. There's also the Raven medevac build, which we haven't seen at all in this series so far.
Upgrade complete.
But the Reaper should give him plenty of information. Taeja actually scouted, he saw the command center, and
He's going to catch that SCV.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that SCV is going to die. I would bet a lot of money that this SCV will die. Wow, I'm right.
You're rich! that fool took that bet. Why would he do that?
I saw someone raise their hand. Like, QXC, I'll bet with you.
Take my money. All right,
And
so double gas here by Taeja, not the single gas version. So he's got the tech lab down on that factory. His Flash drinks water. He can do anything while he plays StarCraft. I saw that.
And Taeja now has his Marines stationed.
He's got the water in his mouth still. Yes, see, it's there. So the Reaper goes in and actually spots the setup here, the double gas. He didn't even see the double gas, but he knows why the Starport
he
tech
saw
lab
the tech
factory.
lab. Yeah.
Right.
And so what he's going to try and do is come back into the Reaper. He wants to see, is it going to be Reaper or is it going to be Banshee? Those are the main points here. And Taeja desperately wants to keep that Reaper out as much as possible. If he can force Flash to make turrets that he doesn't need, that's going to allow him to transition so much nicer.
Reaper gets denied. It is Raven, of course. Flash can't get in there at the moment.
Every time the Reaper gets denied, you know, there's like this 20 or 30 seconds where you know the Reaper can't come back in. And then once that time has passed, it's time to get ready for it again. And is Taeja ready? Oh, the Reaper slips by.
And well, he doesn't see Cloak.
He started Cloak. Taeja just started Cloak.
Yeah.
And he's going to cancel it as soon as the Reaper leaves. So Flash thinks it's going to be Banshee because there's no indication that it's anything else.
Yeah, and turret start, Viking started, but it is a fake out here.
And a really good move from Taeja. You could almost say that Taeja let the Reaper in on purpose.
No.
I'm not saying he did, but you know, it's that type of move. It's like, why not let the Reaper in, let him see the Cloak that I literally just started. Thank you for building 3 turrets, Flash.
All right, well, Flash going to be going over for a Raven of his own here.
He's doing the build. The medevac build. The medevac build.
The medevac builds?
Did you watch Bunny versus Taeja?
No.
Okay, well, it's a build where you go gas first, you make a Raven. As soon as the Raven finishes, you make a medevac. As soon as that medevac finishes, you make a second medevac. And you go with a Raven, 2 medevacs, 2 siege tanks, and 8 Marines. You pick somewhere in your opponent's base, you drop everything, drop all your auto turrets, and you win the game.
And you win the game.
You win the game. That is literally how
the strategy ends with you win the game.
That's the final part of the build. You win the game.
All right, well, let's see if he does, because then he's going to the grand finals, so...
Wait, no. That's Taeja's build.
Oh, Taeja's build.
We'd go to a 5th game.
To the 5th game.
Which I think everyone would want.
Who wouldn't want the 5th game?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want
Everyone
the 5th
wants
game?
the 5th game.
All right, well, what does Flash know? He hasn't really gotten any information after that Reaper went in. He scans now, I think.
Wait, no.
Oh, other way around.
No, that was Taeja scans.
Scans Flash.
And I think Taeja should feel pretty okay about this. There's no early Banshee, and the Vikings aren't going to be super strong against this drop. Oh, actually, wait, Taeja built a Viking. Why did he build a Viking? He's not doing the build.
No, I suppose not. So he's not going to win this one then.
No, Taeja, why wouldn't you do the build? The last step in the build is literally winning the game, and he decided not to do it.
He wants it to go to the 5th map, right?
No, Taeja needs to win to go to the 5th map.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, QXC.
All right.
I like to play with you.
Okay, so what I think... Oh, Flash already broke down the rocks. And I think that's Taeja's destination here, is he builds the early Viking and the early medevac. Okay, so the intent here is the medevacs are going to support him. Flash has a lot of Hellbats, so he's going to go out and meet this. Taeja needs to be ready. He cannot walk into this trap. Flash is actually pulling SCVs now. He can drop auto turrets. Needs to put down all the auto turrets right now. Taeja, put the auto turrets down. The Marines are getting roasted. And it looks like Flash is just going to clean that up. No problem.
Easy there. He did take a lot of losses, but the opportunity that presents itself currently for Flash is the final. He is going over there with his army. Does Taeja even have enough to defend? Flash sacrificed a few SCVs, but now he's moving over. Does Taeja have enough? Because if he doesn't, this is going to end.
Taeja needs to get some SCVs to repair that bunker.
Cannot let that bunker die.
This is a lot of Hellbats. He does not have a strong enough ground force to actually fight it. Where are the SCVs, Taeja? You gotta get on that bunker. That's the place to hold.
All right, well, the bunker's going to go down immediately here. He doesn't care about saving it, and Flash goes in. The SCVs get pulled way too late there, and Flash walks into the natural, and the Hellbats are going to do a lot of damage. He can even pick up some and drop them on this bio here, and Taeja's in a bit of trouble here. He needs to stabilize. He needs to survive.
And Taeja's hopes at winning this IEM seem to be quickly fading. The Hellbats killing all of the SCVs in the main. The Vikings are able to clean up Flash's Vikings, but how can he kill these Hellbats? 2 Marauders here, but so many losses for Taeja already.
This is unbelievable. Taeja's dropping so fast with his SCV count. Is Flash going to make it to the grand finals? He's killed 22 workers with this attack. It was so beautiful of a defense into the counter, and Taeja is in so much trouble. It's 26 SCVs for Taeja, 41 for Flash, who, while this counter was going on, was 10 behind. Now he's 20 ahead.
Whatever damage he did with that initial attack has more than been made up for by Flash. He is sitting in a dominant position right now. Taeja desperately trying to get back into this game. Neither player really has a lot of army at the moment, but Flash, with those 14 extra workers over Taeja, is going to be able to get much more units in the next coming minutes.
Wow, this is absolutely incredible right now. Flash has been in this position many a time in this tournament where he's taken a massive lead, and he just knows how to finish it off too. He doesn't rush it, he doesn't make mistakes, he builds up, and he knows that the time when he moves out, he will win. Is he going to be able to do the same here? He's going to He's going to put more damage onto Taeja. He's got a medivac full of Hellbats. He's looking at the natural.
These Hellbats are definitely going to get unloaded. Taeja needs to get his Viking over there to repel that medevac, but whoa, a couple SCVs are going to go down, and Taeja actually cleans that up without too much trouble.
Yeah, that was all right there, defended by Taeja. I don't think he actually got any SCVs, to be honest.
I don't even know. 22 workers killed. They may have all died in the first engagement even.
Well, he's going to try again here, so yeah. Infeza did say that 0 SCVs were killed, but we are going to have another drop.
He knows.
Of course he knows.
Where did Taeja's medevacs go? Wasn't he flying around with them? Did they go home? I guess they must have gone home.
Yeah,
I think
they're here with this army.
Yeah.
Okay, so Flash is actually going to drop 1 medevac full once again as Taeja moves over to the other side here. What does Flash have back at home? Does he have a lot of tanks into the mix yet? Does he?
He doesn't really have anything.
Okay,
This Hellbat is going to be pretty tough to deal with. Meanwhile, Taeja's going for a counterattack.
Well, Flash has got to defend his natural right now.
Yep. And the medevac is going to get picked off. The Vikings are on top. No, Taeja! You can't. He's being very aggressive here. Too aggressive, I think.
He's getting cleaned up quite easily.
Yeah,
there.
the siege tanks are just too strong. I'm not sure why he decided to take that fight. And it looks like Taeja may be faltering here. The normal calm and pose that we see a little bit shaken.
Yeah, definitely making a couple of mistakes.
Maybe he was microing at home. Maybe he was looking at the Hellbats in his man, and he lost track of the army at the
Flash
front.
defends. Only 2 SCVs were killed with that drop, but the most important part was the fight that Flash won, and now he has access to his third base. Taeja's coming around again, but he just doesn't have enough now as Flash's production's fully online. He's got enough tanks now.
Flash is he's just got medevac after medevac ready to sacrifice Hellbats to keep the pressure off of his own base. Taeja's going in. GG! Flash moves on to the grand finals, the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto. He's defeated the reigning champion, one of the most successful international players of all time. Taeja falls.
Taeja just couldn't keep up in that game and surrendered at the end. Flash is in the grand finals of the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto. He will play a best of 7 against either Life or Zest, our second semi-final. And not only that, Flash is pushing up with WCS points. He's getting closer to the global finals, and he will be present at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship as well.
Thank you very much, Apollo. And yeah, back on the couch here with 2 men who predicted not only the victory, but the correct scoreline as well. How you keep them doing it? I don't understand. You're 100% for the whole week or something.
I don't know. We're doing okay.
Yeah.
Flash keeps winning, so my predictions keep happening. Whee!
So you're entirely focused on Flash winning means you get everything right.
I think I picked him as his team captain in my fantasy league thing, so I'm doing all right.
Good. What about you, Todd? Impressive display.
Yes, I mean, not bad TvT.
not bad at all. No.
Very good display of skill here from start to finish. I'm very, very impressed, and now I'm already thinking about the finals. This is what happens a lot of the time when somebody wins. Either we have Flash versus Life, a rematch of games that happened a long time ago in the very first tournament after the release of Heart of the Swarm, actually. And they traded games. Or we're going to have the teammates in final. The team kill Zest versus Flash, which is a massive match as well.
Yeah, I mean, on the back of Pro League and victory and brilliance by them, it almost seems fitting that those two should come to the final. I mean, it almost doesn't matter for them. They've got 1 in, but Life is on a rich streak in this tournament. 11 wins and 1 loss right now. So I guess he would probably start marginally the favourite.
Against Zest?
Yeah.
Zest's pretty good, man. Zest's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean,
not bad.
Zest cruises through the qualification processes for these tournaments, the Intel Extreme Masters, each time at the moment. Yeah. And nobody even goes close to what Zest can do. And, you know, fully enough, Flash going into that final, if he does meet Zest, Zest is one of the only people recently that has actually beaten Flash anyway. So, yeah, either way it goes, it's going to be very exciting.
Let's recap on Taeja as well. Disappointing for him. He didn't want to meet a Terran. In the knockout phase, he unfortunately got probably the most informed Terran in the world right now in the semi-final. But yet another top 4 finish for the man who's the most successful in terms of tournament premier victories in the world. So satisfied, not satisfied? What do you think he'll be feeling right now? Either of you?
I mean, Taeja is a guy that wins tournaments usually. Now he took 2nd and here top 4. I don't think he's going to be all that happy. I mean, he scores some cash, but again, he wasn't here for top 4. So I guess he's going to be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, saving grace for him is that BlizzCon's fine. I mean, there's
Yes,
no issue with him in terms of BlizzCon. I can tell you, thanks to our friend Di for WCS prediction, Flash has gone up to around about 23%, I understand, if he wins this tournament. So he's already gone up because he's in the final and he's got more WCS points. It seems like the end of the season is kind of built for Flash.
Could be. Still alive in GSL as well.
Yeah.
He's God, of
Kesper
course.
Cup
He
as
builds
well.
whatever he wants, man.
Okay, that's what it is. Quick break from these two, and let's head over to Nathanius, who is going to break down exactly how God managed to triumph.
Thanks, guys. Of course, I was trying to look at the games, which part would be the best to discuss, and we were just looking at the merry-go-round game. There were a lot of cool things that happened in it, but there's just so many awesome moments from this series as a Terran being able to watch. So on the merry-go-round game, we saw just a lot of back-and-forth movements. One of the most difficult things when you're playing the dual composition of Bio versus Mech, it's all about the positioning. Flash had a really good defensive setup, and Taeja didn't have too many opportunities to actually break into his base. So we see one of the largest fights before they make the air transition. While all those upgrades are coming in, he uses the way that the map is spread out to try to get a good posture on this. But Flash, in something that we don't see terribly often out of Mech players, puts a surprising number of Banshees in his army composition, because Taeja, who normally you'd say Marauders are very good versus siege tanks, and having tanks of your own are also useful, they don't have quite that anti-air, so the Banshees get a lot of extra utility. And I did like how Taeja slowly trickled out, traded away his army, builds the Ravens, and hides them. But it really was just so many beautiful moves between the two of them, because neither one of them could actually get caught off guard by the other's tech switches or plays. And Taeja, the later the game went, he was still tenacious about getting in with the harass. There's just so many cool little plays. The Seekers on the small clumps of Bio, the Thor drop on the siege tanks by the third base was also a really nice play. And it seemed like he was going to be able to lock down the economy, but man, I really don't have too many more words for this series. It was just awesome action all the way throughout, and I think we're in treat for an awesome final moving forward. That's really all I got. I could talk about this. I could almost just recast the entire game because that's how excited I was being able to watch these guys play. Yeah, let's hear from the man himself.
Thanks very much, Nathanius. Yeah, an overexcited Terran there. And another overexcited Terran joins us on the couch right now. Flash, congratulations. Another fabulous victory and into the grand final. Talk to us about the match, because there were many, Nathan said it just now, there were many small things, small differences between you and Taeja. How would you summarize your victory over him?
자, 일단 결승전 진출하신 거 축하하고요, 영호 선수. 그리고 방금 윤영서 선수랑 경기했었을 때 이제 살짝 플레이 스타일이나 그리고 흔히 대회에서 보지 못하는 이런 작은 것들이 많이 있었는데, 마이크로적인 면 그리고 조합적인 면에서 그런 이제 선택의 계기와 그리고 어떤 그런 게 이제 어떻게 돼서 경기가 진행이 이렇게 풀렸다고 생각하시는지 설명 좀 해주세요.
일단 태태전 같은 경우에는 워낙에 자신이 있어서 후반에 유닛 조합이나 뭐 이런 거에 있어서 연습을 통해서 이제 얻은 결과라고 생각하고, 제가 생각하는 조합이 태태전 조합이 반까마귀를 많이 뽑는 건데, 그래서 윤영 선수보다 후반 운영에 좀 더 제가 강해서 이긴 것 같아요.
I'm very confident in my TvT. In terms of macro, especially when it comes to TvT macros, I believe it's all about the composition, and I strongly believe in Ravens in TvTs.
I think we saw that.
So, yeah. So I was pumping a lot of Ravens out, and I think my macro was a lot godlier than the Taeja's.
Godlier macro, you heard it here first. Okay, so let's talk about your teammate, because your teammate earlier on said he didn't really care if you got to the final or not. Do you care if he does?
아까 주성우 선수랑 인터뷰를 했을 때 반대편에서 누가 올라왔으면 좋겠냐, 윤영서 선수나 이영호 선수 누가 더 까다롭고 누가 올라왔으면 좋겠냐 했더니 상관이 없는데, 그래서 그럼 지금 팀원이 준결승에서 떨어져도 신경을 안 쓴단 말이냐 이랬더니만은 뭐 그런 얘기는 딱히 아닌데 하고 얼버무리고 넘어갔었거든요. 어떻게 생각하세요?
그럴 수 있다고 생각하고, 아무래도 지금은 개인 리그다 보니까 그럴 수 있다고 생각해요.
There is no I in team, so I can see how Zest could have said that in the interview in the previous one. and it is an individual match.
Yeah.
There's I in individual match.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So Flash not too worried about who he plays, I guess, in the next one. If it's life in the final, and you guys have a bit of history, is that going to make it more fun for you or harder?
8강이었나요? 장윤철 선수랑 경기를 했을 때도 이제 잘 이기지 못했던 상대를 이겼고, 이번에 프로리그 할 때 원희사 선수도 그랬었고, 이승현 선수한테도 전적을 보니까 그렇게 좋지가 않았어요. 그럼 오히려 이승현 선수가 올라와서 복수전을 펼치는 방향으로 가는 게 더 마음이 편할지, 아니면 주성 선수를 만나는 게 더 기분이 좋을지.
아, 예. 아무래도 마음은 이승현 선수가 올라오는 게 좀 더 편하지 않나 싶어요. 왜냐면 팀원끼리 이렇게 결승에서 만나다 보면 즐거운 마음도 있지만 좀 진 상대가 좀 슬퍼할 수도 있어서, 예, 마음 같아서는 예, 복수도 할 겸 그러고 싶은데 성훈이가 올라와도 팀이니까 예, 좋을 것 같아요.
이번 예선할 때도 주성욱 선수 1위, 이영호 선수 2위 아니었나요?
예, 그렇게 올라왔어요. 제가 져가지고.
팀이어서 내가 한 봐줬다.
아, 그런 건 아니고, 예, 뭐 그런 건 아니에요.
Over the past couple months, I've been hacking away at Parting for all his smash talks on me on MC, and also it would be interesting if Life comes up to the finals, if I beat him, and it kind of wraps the whole story and the rivalry up. But having a teammate, there's pros and cons. You're a little more comfortable playing against your teammate, but also if you beat him, or if I lose, one of us is going to be sad, and we live together, so it's a heartbreaking situation. And what did I add? And I also added that, well, you've actually lost to Zest in the qualifiers. Is that because it was your teammate and you let him walk by so that, you know, because you were that comfortable? And he says, well, that's not really it. But Zest and I, we don't have that sort of a rivalry going on in the individual leagues.
All right. Well, congratulations on winning on the semi-final for the first time ever. Ladies and gentlemen, Flash is in the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto Grand Final. We'll find out after the break who plays him. Will it be his teammate Zest or the man who is on fire? 11-1 right now from Life.